Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth installment of the Darktable from A to Z series. Today we will start looking into Darkroom. As the name suggests, Darkroom is used to develop photographs. You can use it to work on a single photograph. And to enter Darkroom, you select a photo in a light table and press the D button on your keyboard, or you double click that image. You can use your mouse wheel button to zoom in to 100% or 1:1. A second click takes you to 2:1, and a third click takes you back to fit to screen mode. On the right hand, you have the modules under the histogram. The modules are the basic elements of photo manipulation. Basic is a little bit of a misnomer here, because some of those modules are really complicated. You can see all of the modules currently working on this image by opening your history stack. The same list can be seen as well in the Active Modules tab of your Modules pane. Darktable processes images in what it's called a pixel pipe. Pixel pipe is just the consecutive operation of modules on an image. Notice that these modules are applied in a predetermined order. What that means is that the modules are not applied to the image in the order that you activate or deactivate them, but in an order that was predetermined by the developers. That was done for a couple of reasons. The first is to preserve any logical dependency between modules, and the second is to produce the best image possible. Therefore, it is not recommended to change the order of the modules unless you know what you are doing. Previously, you could not change the order of the modules, but since Darktable version 3, that is now possible. So in the history stack on your left, you can see the modules in the order that you activated them. On the right, in the Active Modules tab, you can see them in the order that they will be applied on the image. Clicking on a Modules tab expands it. Notice it only expands it, it does not activate it. For instance, if I click on the crop and rotate, you can see the options that you have for the crop and rotate, but the module is still not active. To activate it, you have to click on the power button here. Those three icons have different usage. The first one is the presets, which allows you to save presets and apply them to other images. The second one is the reset, which resets the module to its default settings. And the third one allows you to create multiple instances of the module. Most of Darkroom's modules allow for multiple instances. You can interact with sliders in module settings in different ways. You can left click your mouse button on a part of the slider to move the setting to that part. You can use your mouse wheel to change the value of the slider. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard, and you can right click and type in a value. Or you can right click and hover your mouse over this line here and move it. Notice the closer you are to this triangle, the more fine-tuned the move is, and the further you are, it's the other way around. The closer you are, the more coarse that the change, and the further you are, the more fine-tuned it is. You can double click on a value to reset it. Additionally, If you click Shift and use your mouse wheel, the steps are multiplied by 10. If you press Control on your keyboard and use the mouse wheel, the steps, so the change steps, are divided by 10. You can use this button to turn off a module as well. Combo boxes work like in any other software. You click on them to get a list of the options, and you click on the one that you want to use to select it. You can as well use Ctrl Z and Ctrl Y on your keyboard for undo and redo. You can use presets to store configurations and modules to apply them at a later date. Some modules come with default presets that you can use, but this feature is most useful for storing your own preferred settings and applying them on different images. So let's take local contrast, for example, and suppose I like an extremely contrasted photo. Click on the presets button and then select store new presets. That gives you the new preset dialog box. You can select a new name for your preset. A description. And you have as well the option to auto apply this preset to matching images, or to only show it for matching images. When I say matching images, it's images that match predefined conditions that you select, such as the camera model, the camera maker, the lens, the ISO, etc., etc. If I press OK, this is now saved, and I can see it in my presets. Notice that it's in bold because it's currently applied to this image. So if I reset this module, I can reapply the same settings to this module by selecting the preset that I just saved. This button allows you to create multiple instances of the same module. This is useful if you have a module that that's versatile enough that can act on different kind of pixels. For instance, a module that you can either have it act on the shadows or on the highlights. So you might want to create one instance for the shadows and another for the highlights, or one that just such as denoise here, that you can select multiple settings for each instance. Or a more advanced technique is if you create an instance and have it act on a different part of your image. So if I wanted to light these beach houses, you can create an instance and just select these beach houses and work on them separately. You can do that by clicking on this button and selecting New Instance. You can create a new instance as well by selecting the Duplicate Instance menu. The only difference between that and New Instance is that the new instance will inherit all the configuration of the parent instance. You can as well rename an instance to give it a more descriptive name. Suppose this is, I don't know, I'm going to call it highlights. And you can move it up and down in in your menu. Notice that does not change when it's applied, it's just here, and you can delete it. Next, let's talk about blending. By default, a module just takes the output from the previous module, does its work on it, and produces its output to the next module, or the final image if that's the last module. However, we can activate an additional step that takes the output from the module and reprocess it with its input, using specific algorithms before it actually presents it to the next module. This is called blending. You can activate blending on a module using this bar under the module. The first one is to turn blending off. The second one is what it's called uniformly. Uniformly is when blending is applied to all the pixels in an image. If we click on that, now we have the blend mode, which is all the algorithms that we can use, and then the opacity, which determines the amount of blending that will be applied on the image. So if we take it back to 0, it's as if we have no blending at all, and 100 is complete blending. If we don't want to apply the blend on the whole image, we can use masks. Masks can be applied using these 3 buttons. The first one is a drone mask, and a drone mask, as it said, it's a mask that you draw yourself. The second one is a parametric mask, and the third one is a combination between the two. The parametric mask is a mask that's created based on the parameters that you define. Let's look at the blend modes. I'll use the uniform blend just for simplicity. The first one is normal. Normal is actually no blend at all. This is just, it mixes input and output, and you can use that one with a mask to apply the module just on a part of an image. The second blend mode is normal bounded. It's the same as normal, except that the output pixels are bounded by predefined range. You can use that to get rid of artifacts in some images. However, since you cannot control the bounds, it is better to use normal and try to get rid of the artifacts using other modules. Unfortunately, the current user manual does not go in the same order into blending modes. So I'm going to leave them for now, and we're going to discuss them in detail one by one in a future video. Let's talk briefly about masks now. There will be a video especially for masks with detailed information on how to use them in the future. So the first mask you can have is a drone mask, and to do that you have multiple tools. The first one is a brush, which allows you to paint the mask that you want. You can always go into mask editing mode or out by clicking on this button. If you right click on a mask, you delete it. The second one allows you to add a circle, and if I press shift and use a mouse wheel, I can change the feathering of a mask, and just using the mouse wheel without any button allows me to use the size of the mask, and control with the mouse wheel allows me to change the opacity, which you can see at the top of the screen. See, now it's down to 69. I can take it back to 100. Delete that with the right button. The third one is an ellipse, works in the same way as the circle, and the third one allows you to add a path. So you can add more points to the path by using your left button on the mouse, and you use your right button to finish. You can click on any of the nodes to move it afterwards. And the same mouse wheel operations that we already discussed worked on this one as well. The last one allows you to add a gradient, and you can do that by just selecting where to add this horizon line, and the mask will work from the top to the bottom in a gradient. That means it will be 100 on the top and 0 at the bottom. You can see how the effects of a mask by clicking on this button here, which colors the affected pixels, I should say. So you can see here the mask is completely yellow on top, so 100%, and goes down to almost 0%. If you click on this node here, you can move that line and change the effect. So now it's from this corner 100% to that corner 0%. Right click on it to delete it as well. Well, now it works on all of them since we don't have a mask anymore. I will change the view again, and let's see how that works if I add a brush as well, just to demonstrate it. There you go. Click on this button to hide the mask, and then I'll click on this one to display the mask effect. Note that you can as well combine multiple shapes. So if I added a circle to my previously drawn mask, the circle and the drawn part will both be added to the mask. And if I click on this button here, which is the display mask button, you will see that in action. And you can always delete one of the two or three or how many you had by clicking on the right mouse button. You can as well invert the mask using this selection here, which means that instead of if you had a shape, I'll draw a shape here. Inverting the mask would just select everything outside of that shape. Below that, you have some mask refinements, which is the first one is the feathering radius, which you see makes the mask less solid at the edges. You have the mask blur, which does what it says. It blurs the sides so that they're less sharp. You've got the opacity, and the contrast. Contrast works better with the others. I'm going to show you what it means. We'll go into details when we discuss masks in a future video. Next we have parametric masks, which are masks that are automatically created based on parameters that you choose. Those parameters can be based on different values or channels, as you can see here, RGB, gray, and then HSL. For time's sake, I will only show an example on the gray channel for now. So suppose let's display the mask editor just for clarity. If I move this one to select, see I'm selecting only highlights. It will select the images based on their gray value that's between those two values. You can as well use the same mask refinements that you had in the previous one. The third option is a combination of these two. So you can select pixel based on the values of these channels, and create a drone mask to select between those as well. So if we go back to show the mask, and we still have the values that he inputted last time. Suppose I don't want to include the sky in this. I could draw an ellipse. I deleted it by mistake. I can draw an ellipse around this area, and it would only select those pixels that are contained within the ellipse. Let's reset this module. The last one here is Raster Mask. And Raster Masks allows you to use masks from another module in this module. So if we've created a mask in another module, you will see it here, and you can select it and apply the same mask on this module. This is it for this time. I hope that it was useful. As usual, this is all based on the Darktable user manual. The link can be found in the description below. If you have any suggestions or corrections or recommendations, please leave them in a comment. Until next time.